Welcome to the weekend review. I just finished a 4.5 mile ruck with 30 pounds. I'm preparing for a big event coming up in September, Sniper Adventure Challenge. It's a 48-hour adventure race where you have to shoot and you have to land nav. And so I'm prepping for that. I've been rucking with these Altra Olympus 4 shoe. So from Altra, they're known for their zero drop shoes, and they have a lot of cushion. This model does, and a wide toe box. So far, this shoe is working out well. I'm really happy with it, and I'll keep putting some miles on it prior to the competition. And then for the event, I will switch to a new pair if I like them. And what's going to be one of the big determining factors, besides the comfort, the way they feel, also if I just don't blister. So I need to keep pushing miles in different terrain to see. And so far, no issues with blistering. So far, they're great. So I'll start with comments from last week, and we'll start with this one from Rack Biceps Curl Athlete. Are the drug problems of the games becoming a reputation risk for the boxes or affiliates? I tell you one thing, a neighbor is really into strongman. He trains very often and enjoys. I asked him if he's going to compete at some point. He said no, because it's pointless. He is not on juice. Well, did you mean compete in strongman, or did you mean compete in CrossFit? Whatever. The whole drug abuse, or even that he perceives it in such a way, is simply demotivated. What happens if ordinary box members start to stay away from the open because they think it's pointless? In other words, not fair. Well, the good news is, in regard to the open, 99.9% of the people who engage and do the open have no aspirations of going to the games, and nor should they, because it's obviously outside the realm of what someone's able to attain. The games are the tip of the spear, and the fewest number of athletes possible is by percentage, make it to that stage. So the average member is not thinking about going to the games when they do the open. They're thinking about community. They're thinking about measuring themselves against their local community and the global community. So I don't think that's an issue. On the drug stuff in general, it is interesting. Every year we bust people, and every year people start saying more people this year have been busted than the year before. I actually don't know the numbers if more people this year have been busted compared to last year. I think what's going on, I'm seeing some of it, not all of it, I'm not paying too close attention, is that a handful of individual athletes have popped. And normally in years past, it seems like at the semifinal level, very few individuals failed. A number did, but maybe not as many as are popping now. Someone said something to me on my channel where they posted in their story, and it just popped up in my feed or in my DMs, where they basically said, it's funny that now that Dave's out, we're busting all these people. So I did what I hardly ever do in those situations, is I engaged with the guy, because it's such a ludicrous thing to say about me that I didn't, that now that I'm gone, all these athletes are getting busted. And what's funny about it too is I looked at the South America list, or some people from that semifinal. So all of these teams, or all these guys from that semifinal pop. And it's like, these past few years I've been protecting people I don't even know from South America. So that's ridiculous. Maybe you'd have an argument if some top guys that I'm really close with or know very well were popping, but that didn't happen. Now, big picture testing, games, 2008, no, actually 2009. 2009 was the first big year of testing, and we tested every individual athlete at the games. There was a sponsor who came on board, and they funded it, and we tested all the men and all the women. That was the first year we took testing seriously. Since then, we've ramped up the program, and I don't know if we've ever had another year where we tested every single athlete at the games in terms of the games field. That is something we should definitely strive towards accomplishing and getting to. We're not there yet. At the games, they test the podium winners. They test another group of people randomly selected, but the entire field isn't tested. The only time I can remember, I'm pretty sure we didn't do it after that, but the only time that stands out is 2009. At those games, That was early on. One guy failed the drug test, and this was all after the fact, and he popped for like a variety of things. And I regret this, but we did this at the time. It was we were small. It was a much different landscape. We told him he failed, and he basically asked us not to say anything because he was active duty and he was in the military at the time, and he didn't want to get in trouble. So we didn't say anything about it. And I don't know if we ever have since then. I am now, but so we kind of just kept it quiet, and then that didn't feel right. And after that, never did. After that moment, we've always fully disclosed anyone who's ever failed going forward, and we've tested aggressively. And I've never covered up for anyone. I get accused of that all the time, that like our favorites we cover for. Actually, our favorites, Rich Froning, Dan Bailey, Josh Bridges, anyone who is big and doing well, we would test them more often. We would have them randomly tested we have an off-season testing program that the biggest names and those who you sometimes might think would be the ones to do it, their names are put into the testing protocol, and they were not failing. For the 15 years that I ran it, we constantly added names, changed names, and modified. But again, so there's no, and I would love to catch anyone. I don't think like keeping a clean sport is a high priority. It was a high priority for me when I was running it, and it still is a high priority. We should test the entire field. Financially, I don't think it's in the cards right now. It's really expensive to do the testing, but that would be a great place to get with it, where the entire field at the games is being tested. When Ricky popped a couple years ago, it's interesting. I think even when you look at what happened with Ricky, he was coming to the games as a rookie. Ricky was a rookie. He probably knew that we don't test every individual at the games, and maybe he didn't have such high expectations for himself at the games in terms of making it to the podium, and therefore not being worried about, call it, pushing the limits on the testing or on using prior to getting clean before the actual event. I think my perspective has changed in one major thing regarding the testing. For years, I've said, hey, the money's not in the sport for the designer drugs or for the stuff that's really beyond our testing capabilities to be in the sport. I think I'm off on that one. I think there's money there, there's opportunity there, there's potential money for sure. And I think people do have access to some stuff that might take different levels of testing or more thorough, or more, not thorough, our testing is completely thorough, but elevating it essentially to the next level, because there's a lot of money in the sport, and there's a lot of potential to make a lot of money in the sport with even post-sport when you get into doing your own thing, like selling programming, for example, or etc. So I do think the landscape has changed throughout the 15 years, and I hope there's not an epidemic of all these athletes juicing. And I don't think the top ones are, because we test them so often, but we just have to keep the testing pressure up and keep staying true to that program and making sure we keep them honest. Second comment, so that's what I have to say on testing. Second comment, favorite fiction book, Dave. Okay, so I read this book recently in early November, maybe late October. I was in Colorado for a meeting with Nicole Carroll, Gary Gaines, and Jason Dunlap, and we had a great meeting. This was while Eric was out, and on the way home, I stopped at the bookstore in the airport, and I walked around the bookstore, and I saw this book. And I like going into bookstores, especially in airports, just to see what's on display. And it's a book I had heard of and I'd never read, and it's an epic and really long, and something that you would think I typically wouldn't pick up, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna grab it and I'm gonna read it. So I grabbed the book, bought it, and a few weeks later I started reading it, and it quickly captivated me, and I was just like totally blown away by the writing, by the storytelling, by the characters. And once I finished it, it became by far the best book I have ever read. And so enough with the suspense. That book is Gone with the Wind. So it's an epic. It's almost 1,000 pages. This is by far the number one book of all types or of any. And I've read a lot of books in the past couple of years, past 4 or 5 years. I've probably read 150, 200 books. This is number one on the list. I'm not going to tell you much about it, but I am going to read a little blurb from the intro. And this might take up too much time, so if you get bored with this intro, just fast forward. Literature often has a soft spot for the lost cause. Defeat lends an air of tragedy and nostalgia that the victors find unnecessary. But history will forgive almost anything except being outwritten. None can explain the devotion that Gone with the Wind has inspired from one generation to another, but one cannot let this ardor go unremarked upon either, because its readers have held it in such high esteem. It has cheapened the book's reputation as a work of art. Democracy works because of the will of the people, but it has the opposite effect when scholars begin to call out those books that make up the canon of our nation's literature. Gone with the Wind has outlived a legion of critics and will bury another whole set of them after this century closes. Gone with the Wind works because it possesses the inexpressible magic where the art of pure storytelling rises above its ancient use and succeeds in explaining to a whole nation how it came to be this way. There has never been a reader or a writer who could figure out why this happens only to very few books. It involves all the eerie mysteries of enchantment itself, the strange and untouchable wizardry that occurs when a story, in all its fragile excellence, speaks to the times in a clear, original voice and answers some strange hungers and demands of the zeitgeist. I know of no other 1,000-page book that reads so swiftly and grants such pleasure. The characters are wonderful, and the story moves with swiftness and bright, inexorable power. The novel allows you to lose yourself in the glorious pleasures of reading itself when all 5 senses ignite in the sheer happiness of narrative. The Civil War and its aftermath may not have felt like this at all, but it sure seems that way when one gets carried away in the irresistible tumult and surge of Gone with the Wind. This book caught the imaginations of Americans and the world as few books ever have or ever will. It demonstrates again and again that there is no passion more rewarding than reading itself, and it remains the best way to dream and to feel the sheer carnal joy of being fully and openly alive. Gone with the Wind. If you've never read this book, pick it up. It is amazing. All right. Those are the comments from last week. As always, if you have any comments that you want answered, put them under this video, and then next week I'll go through them and see if there's any that I'm interested in tackling. Last week, the podcast team was here at the ranch. The new podcast, EDU, that team led by Nicole Carroll is creating a kind of a CrossFit podcast. It's going to focus on affiliates, focus on training, focus on all things CrossFit that are unrelated to the podcast that Chase and that team that they have in place. So Stefan Roche and Nicole Christensen from the EDU team came out to the ranch. We had a videographer team here, and they did a number of podcasts with a variety of people. Before we did that, though, there's a little ranch challenge, a community challenge that we filmed that we should announce pretty soon. We're just, they're editing the videos, and it'll be pretty cool. Something here for people to come do at the ranch, and I'll host it, and anyone who wants to come and win a prize can come do it. So it's something for fun. Let's see. So they interviewed Kelly Starrett, Jesse Burdick, and Graciano Rubio. Real quick on Kelly. Kelly and I have been friends for a long time. So Kelly actually judged at the 2007 CrossFit Games. He's been in this community for longer than I have, actually, and he's contributed immensely to the community and to affiliates and to training larger than just our community. He's branched into many other fitness communities and done a lot of good work. He's been a good friend through all those years, and I really do appreciate his friendship and what he's doing, and I hope we can lean in more with him and do more great things with Kelly, with CrossFit for the affiliate community and the trainer community at large. So it was really good seeing Kelly. We caught up. Jesse's a great great guy. He's been another one who's been around, him and Mark Bell, for a very long time. They used to do a seminar with us, and he also was interviewed by Stefan. And then Graciano Rubio from CrossFit Valley View. He is this really big, strong CrossFitter from the Valley, about an hour east of here in the Central Valley of California. And really powerful guy, really passionate guy. And he is known for doing unique feats of strength with CrossFit things. He's kind of like, to be honest, kind of like a modern version of Rob Orlando. And so he did Grace at 225 with no hook grip, and I think his time was like 3 or 4 minutes. 4 minutes, and I had labeled it as faster than Froning's time, but someone corrected me and said actually Froning ended up doing it in 3 something a few years later after the video I saw at, where was it? I forgot where it was, but he ended up doing it faster. So correction, Graciano does not have the fastest time. Froning now does. Also, something that we did, I wasn't here when they did it, but they had Kelly Clark do Nancy, and she smoked it. She did an 11 something. It's interesting because, so it's awesome seeing athletes or seeing our community do classic benchmark workouts like Nancy. And in the comments of the video I posted of it, I didn't even post the video, I posted a clip of it. Someone said, hey, do you think it should be scaled up? And I responded, not in the comments, but on my story, basically no. Well, let me rephrase that. There are moments or times when you can, in training or even in a test, scale up something like Nancy. And so basically increase the weight or maybe even increase the reps. At the games a number of years ago, we had Naughty Nancy, and I increased the reps and I increased the weight. But always coming back to some of the pure benchmarks as is with no weight increase is highly recommended, and that should not be left behind. They should not be modernized. Doing them at 95 pounds, or in her case 65, means you're just going to have to go faster. You're going to have to run faster. You're going to have to do your reps faster. You're going to have to keep everything clean still, but it therefore keeps the intensity really high. And by keeping the intensity really high, it makes it really hard. So with the benchmarks, experimenting with doing them with more weight is fine, but don't abandon doing them as prescribed because there's something so special there. So that was a good few days. They were here at the ranch, did a lot, talked a lot, spent a lot of time with those guys. They've got a lot of filming done. I did an interview too with Stefan. It was more of kind of like a test run. We probably won't air any of it, just working out his procedures and how he does stuff, and I gave him a lot of feedback on that interview. So good time, excited to see this one launch, excited to see what they do. Also last week I had a call with Chinese affiliates. So China has 1.4 billion people, and we have 120 affiliates there. A few years ago, at our highest point, we had 170 affiliates. So through COVID, through the last few years, we've lost a number of affiliates, and obviously a lot of potential to grow. I don't want to say affiliates, but I want to say the number of people doing CrossFit there, which also will then help grow affiliates. And had a really good call with them. There was someone from CrossFit Slash from Beijing on the call, the affiliate owner. And there's something that stands out. Well, first of all, let me back up. I've told people this before. A few years ago, I went to Beijing and Shanghai, and I've been to hundreds, if not thousands, of CrossFit gyms around the world. And some of the nicest CrossFit gyms I've ever seen in all my travels were in China. Now, CrossFit Slash in Beijing, I've never seen anything like this with an affiliate. So it's at the base of a building and a skyrise, and above it is like I think it's a Lamborghini dealership, and then above that, on like the second or third floor of this tower, is an airplane dealership where they have actual private jets in display on this third floor, call it, of this building. So this affiliate is underneath a Lamborghini dealership, no big deal, but more impressive underneath a airplane private jet dealership, and I've never seen anything like that anywhere. I've never seen a private jet dealership in a city like that ever before. I don't know. Is there any other cities in the world that have anything like that? Comment in my comments because I'd be interested in knowing. Also last week I had a call with the new affiliate account reps. Thank you, Gary, Austin, Allison, for the team for letting me join and talk a little bit about what I'm doing and share some of my what I've seen and my ideas, and just kind of talk with that new group, and that was fun. I enjoyed it. I was supposed to fly out there, but a lot going on here, so I just stayed home and called in via Zoom. So these positions, affiliate account reps, there is 6 of them. Danielle Williams is the affiliate account rep for the Northwest. Jen Green is the affiliate account rep for the Southeast. Andrew Charlesworth, the affiliate account rep for Flint, Michigan. Chase Ingram, South Central. Kevin Ogar, Central Region. Kevin and Alex Zirkenbach run the adaptive part. They ran the adaptive part at the games for us last year, and I assume they are this year. Kevin and Alec are both great friends, solid people. And Katie Hogan she's the rep from the West Coast. And so these are just more points of contact and more opportunities for the affiliate community, for the affiliate owners and their trainers to engage with HQ and to have essentially someone that they can speak to and work with on their issues. The bigger these teams get, the more people we have, the better we're able to service the affiliate owner and their needs. So that's a great step in the right direction that the affiliate team and the leadership of CrossFit have put in place. So if you have any questions on that, probably email the affiliate team, or you can email me, dave@crossfit.com, and I'll just forward it to the affiliate team, and they can answer. So this has been a very long week in review. This is my longest yet, over 20 minutes, but there was a lot to talk about. So thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions that you want me to answer again next week, just comment at the bottom. Thanks a lot.